Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kemi, and I'm here to talk about Beyond the Gates Season 2, Episode 81. Now, before we begin, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. All right, so we start the episode off where we left it when we saw Martin walk in on Ted and Nicole hugging. So he asked them, what's going on here. Um, they tell him, we're just reminiscing and they're doing okay. Martin tells them the plan that he and Kat had. They appreciate them for thinking of them, but they are good and they're the parents. They're supposed to take care of their kids or something like that. So Nicole leaves so Martin and Ted can talk. When she walks out, she thanks Ted for the talk and he says happy non-anniversary. So she leaves. Ted it's Martin and Ted is telling him that he's surprised that he has time for him, and Martin says, he made time and he wanted to hang with Ted. Ted is glad since this time last year he couldn't stand to be in the same room with him. Martin says they've done a lot of growing since then, and Ted is just like, speak for yourself. I'm still a work in progress, and yes, you are, cause sir. But anyways, he's still beating Ted is still beating himself up for tearing his family apart. Martin tells him not to sit in it. They've all learned to live. They've all learned to live the new normal. Um, they've learned to live in the new normal. Even Nicole. Ted is grateful that they got to share a moment, but it's strange knowing that he won't be seeing her later tonight to celebrate like they always do. And it's difficult for him. It's difficult for him knowing that that part of his life is over. Martin says that's life, and it takes you places you didn't see coming. And Ted says, "Tell me about it." Yesterday, I found myself defending the woman um, who caused my divorce to the woman I'm currently dating. And Martin is just like, "Come again." So he wants to know why he was defending Leslie, and he tells him about Anita going in on her, and Martin is just like, as she should, like good for Grant. Somebody probably needed to check her, and they really did. Ted feels responsible for the woman that Leslie has become. She's angry and bitter and bleeds it onto everyone. So Martin says, "So let me get this straight. You feel responsible for a grown woman who wreaks havoc everywhere she goes. Make that make sense." Ted then changes the subject because he don't want to make it make sense, because he knows once he makes it make sense, he's going to have to look at himself and figure out why does he keep defending this woman that he keeps claiming he don't like. So clearly maybe he wants to be with her. I don't know. I hope they don't go that route because yeah, but whatever. So what's it called? Mm, Ted changes the subject to, what's going on with Martin and the troubles that he's having, with his, everything that's going. He tells him that keeping secrets from Smitty, um, oh no, Martin tells him about him keeping secrets from Smitty, and Ted is just like, that sounds familiar. That was me 20 plus years ago, and look how that turned out. Martin says what he did about the security detail, getting it without consulting. Um, Smitty and Ted was just like, how you gonna how you gonna make decisions um, without talking to him first? Like, who does that basically? Martin says it was a mistake, and since Smitty didn't like the idea, he pulled it, but Joey overheard them and offered his help. And Ted is just like, I hope you didn't accept it. And Smitty was just like, no, I did. I mean, not Smitty. Martin was just like, no, I didn't. Ted's glad, and he says the last thing we need is you owing is the last thing that we need is owing that man another favor. Ted says all the people that helped him that night knew what they were getting into and made their decisions, and they would do it again. And as for his run for Senate, it has to be about him and what's best for his family. Martin thanks him and says he can't believe that 3 years ago that what happened 3 years ago is still dictating what he can and can't do to this, what he can and can't do with his life. So they hug it out. We see, we, sorry, we see Eva. She's at the club and she is looking for Dana. Um, Look at me calling her Dana. No, she's looking for Leslie. She looking for Leslie. So she sends her a message saying, let's meet at Old Orphe Jeans. But Leslie's already at the club and she's just like, nah, I want to eat here. Eva thinks they should go somewhere else, but Leslie isn't having it. Eva tries to get her to leave. Um, since, they blew up the marriage last year. Um, yeah, she tries to get her to leave since they blew up the marriage last year. And she was whispered about in every nook and cranny in the country club. Leslie says, at least they're talking about you. Eva doesn't want to be talked about like that. She says she wants to go somewhere else so they don't run into any of the people that is still salty about that night. She asks Leslie if she has no shame, and Leslie says no. Eva says, does she have any regrets? She says just one, that she didn't do it sooner. I'm sorry, y'all. She says she only has one regret, that she didn't do it sooner. Leslie, so she walks away and she goes get champagne for them or whatever. So she wants to do a toast and she's saying, she toasts to everyone getting what they deserved a year ago. Eva doesn't want to toast to that because Ted and Nicole didn't deserve to get dragged like that. Leslie says, well, we'll agree to disagree. Eva gets up to leave, and she tells her, you can celebrate on your own. Leslie says, no more anniversary talk. And then when Eva sits back down, she says, but seriously, no, I wish she wishes Nicole found out sooner. And she only thinks that way because of Eva. She says that she had forced Ted to tell the truth back when she was born, her whole life would have been different. She says she blamed a lot of people, but she blamed a lot of people for years, but the truth is it was on her and she wasn't strong enough, and she let Bill bully her, and run her out of town and steal the life that she was entitled, and steal the life that Eva was entitled to, and the family she deserved to be a part of. So she's celebrating the night that she finally did right by her daughter, by her baby girl, and then they hug and say they love each other. So, and I know I've said this like a bunch of times, Ted didn't want you to have that girl. So there was no her a life that she was entitled to because Ted did not want her. And then even if he would have told, even if he would have told, even if he would have told, I mean, what am I trying to say? Even if you would have told Nicole, I mean, even if Ted would have told Nicole back then, there's still no guarantee that Eva would have lived the life that Kat lived, because again, the life that Kat is living is because of who her mom is. If Ted and Nicole would have stayed married, and you know what? Eva might have had that life, because the way Nicole be acting, she probably would have took her in. And low key, Leslie, you wouldn't have had nothing to do with your daughter because they probably would have sued you for custody. The way that Nicole be acting. So yeah, Eva may have had that life, but you wouldn't have had that life. You would have still been back in the gap and only seeing your daughter on weekends and every other Christmas, if we really talking about it. But on the flip side, if Ted would have told Nicole and Nicole left him, again, she may have lived a good life, but she would not have had the life that Kat had, because that is what y'all are adamant about saying, that she deserved to have the life that Kat had. The life that Kat had is off of the back of who her mother is, which is a Dupree. This whole cotillion stuff that's about to come up, there's no saying that Eva would have had that if you and Ted were still together, because Ted probably wouldn't have been in this country club because of what he did to because of what he did to Nicole. Because again, this is her family country club. Back then, maybe things would have been different than how it is now because they acted like they soft. But back then, she probably wouldn't have been integrated into that family like that. And then again, the family she deserves is the Richardsons, not the Duprees. And the only Richardsons that we see is Andre and Ted. So again, I still don't understand why she keeps saying that she's entitled to be a part of this family. What family are you talking about? I need to know. I need you to be specific because after the anniversary, you went straight to the Duprees to tell them to treat Eva as one of their own, even though she was not. So I need to know what family you're referencing when you said that she needed to be a part of that family. Because if you're talking about the Duprees, that would not have been the case. So we see Naomi. She is at Anita. She brings her a gift. Anita's happy that chemo's almost over, and she hopes Danny doesn't have to deal with it. And she's glad that Naomi and Chelsea don't have the gene. We get the flashback of Naomi telling Ashley that yes, she in fact does have the gene. Anita asks Naomi how Jacob is and if he's still out of town. She says he's good. He's still out of town. Anita says they miss him and they miss seeing his smiling face. Naomi changes the subject to the articulates and how they were trending the other night, and she's telling her, once she gets the all clear, they should go visit them. Anita hopes nothing will derail it. And Naomi says, like, what? And she's just like, secrets, they always come out. Naomi asks, because Anita is looking off into the distance, and Naomi asks Anita if she's okay. She tells her it's Martin and him possibly running for Senate. And then Vernon is meeting with people that he swore he would never deal with again. And so they talk about that night or whatever. Naomi wants to know if the person that he's meeting with is Joey, and she tells her yes, and he's setting boundaries, and Naomi is just like a person like dealing with someone like Joey. There are no boundaries. Anita says Vernon will walk through fire to protect the family, and she hates that he has to align himself with people that like that. Naomi starts to talk, and then the Naomi starts saying something, and the way she's saying it, Anita's just like, "You good?" And as Anita's talking, she gets a text, and she interrupts, and she's just like, "Oh, I gotta go. I forgot I had something to do, so I gotta go." So she leaves, and it's a text from Jacob with a heart emoji. We then see Anita and Vernon, because Vernon is back at the house. She's giving him a massage, and he's telling her about her day, about his day, and that they hope that things won't come, that whatever's to come won't come at a high price. So earlier in the episode, we saw Vernon. He went to go visit Bill, to talk about Martin. Vernon wants to know um, why he didn't come to him. And Bill is just like, I thought it was a rumor, and I just wanted to, confirm. And he says it's one thing to run for a district. It's a different thing for the whole state. Vernon says people like Martin, they need people like Martin, Senate, and Bill discouraging him was criminal. Bill says he seems to be the only one that is taking this serious. Vernon says no, the people involved won't come forward, because if they come forward, it'll fall on them as well. Bill tells him he's being naive, and even if it does stay buried, they still have. What about Joey? You don't think he will come sniffing around? Vernon tells him he's already talked to Joey. Yeah, he's already talked to Joey, and he took the debt, so now he's the one who's indebted to Joey. Bill says it's not a good idea for Martin to run for Senate, and that Vernon is coddling him, and that people are always cleaning up for Martin, and he won't learn. Vernon wants to know what should he have done then, let him drown or throw him to the wolves to make him noble, to make him a man. Bill says, Bill says that would make him a man. Like if you like let him go. Bill says they both know Martin is reckless. He acts first, strategize later, and then looks for a safety net with their initial stamped on it. He says the other day he was acting like he was all in. Um, he says the other day when I was talking to him, he was acting like I was all in his business. And Vernon says, "Well, you were." Um, Bill says, he's not. You know what he's not ready for. He's not. Oh, he says, sorry. He says, you know what else Martin isn't ready for? The spotlight shining brighter than his ego can handle, which it will. Martin will do what he always does, which is lose control. Vernon says he won't deny it, and Bill tells him to stop pretending that they can fix it because it will come a day that they can't. Vernon says as long as he has breath in his body, he it will protect Martin by any means necessary. And Bill says even if it means making a deal with the devil. Vernon says it's his debt to settle and Bill's too. And he wants to know when Joey comes to collect that Bill will have his back. And Bill says, whatever you need. Vernon says, good. And he leaves. And that's when um, he goes home. So we see, um, sorry, let me see. We see, before I get to this, we see, and I apologize. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, sorry about that. All right, so we see Leah. She approaches Shanice at the nurse's desk, and she wants to check the schedule for the day. Shanice has it memorized, and she asks her who you looking for. She tells her Nurse Morgan. Shanice tells her she'll be in later in the day. Um, and she asked her, "Do you want me to come get you? Do you want me to let her know you were looking for her?" Leah says no, she'll see her when she does. Shanice asks why she's looking for her. She runs a tight ship, and if there is something going on, she would rather handle it directly. Leah says she just wants to follow up with her. She just wants to follow up with her on a conversation they had. Shanice wants to know what about, and Leah says her priorities and being distracted by them. And then Shanice mentions Grayson, and she's just spilling the beans. Leah says she never should have lifted the ban on staff dating. Things get messy. Shanice then says some people know how to separate the two. Leah says, but the drama keeps coming. She says yesterday Ashley seemed far more concerned about Grayson than her patients. And this is when Shanice tells her, oh, they had dinner and he got drunk and all this other stuff or whatever, or what Ashley had told her. And then Leah was just like, that's not what I wanted to hear. So we see Kat again with Tomas. She's saying that she knows one of the victims. She mentions Leah being the chief of staff. Tomas says he'll reach out to her, and Kat's just like, she can do it. They have like a report, so she can reach out to her or whatever. Tomas says he should be the one talking. Kat is just like, who do you think she would talk to? The person who used to work at the hospital or Lynette's ex-lawyer, who robbed her blind. And he was just like, oh, okay, you're right. When you right, you're right. And she tells him, I was going to stop by the hospital anyway to see my mom. So if I see Leah, then I'll speak with her. He tells her she can't go in there all cat like, and she was just like, I'm gonna go in there. Um, I forgot what she said, but she basically said, she gonna go as silk. She gonna go in there silky smooth, just like when she get a fresh blowout, a fresh silk press or whatever. I was just like, I can't kill Cat. So we then see Kat goes to the hospital. She runs into Shanice and Leah, and she butters up Leah, and Leah's just like, "Who did you want to see? Your mom or your dad's current girlfriend?" And Shanice is just like, "Ah." And then she walks away. So Kat tells her, she wanted to see her. Um, she They pull her to the side. She tells her she only has 1 minute. She pulls her to the side. She brings up Lynette. Leah wants to know how she knows about that. Kat tells her that Lynette has taken advantage of someone close to her family. Leah doesn't know what to tell her. All she knows is that all her money was gone. She found out she wasn't going to get her money back from the bank, but the bank told her that they were going to press charges against her, and charges were filed. And then the next thing she knew, the charges were dropped, and there's a justice system for you. So Kat sympathizes with her, and she knows what it's like for toxic. Blah, blah, blah. She know what it's like. She knows what it's like for toxic people to get away with things, and the victims have to figure it out in the aftermath. Kat then tries to see if Leah knew any of the other victims and if they may know where Lynette is. Leah didn't even know she was in town, and she can't help her, and she walks away. So we see Ashley and Grayson. They are at her place, and she is trying to help him or whatever. But not butter him up, but like patch him up or whatever. She's trying to get him to talk. He won't talk, and then he tells her he's gonna leave. That's what's best for her. Great. So he goes to take a shower, and he cut himself again, or opens up his wound again. So she goes to the car to get bandages, and Grayson gets a call from Jacob. He answers, and Jacob, says they have to talk about what's next because Ren isn't going to stop. Grayson is trying to lead. He tells him like we need to meet up so we can figure out what's next because Ren isn't going to stop. So then we see Grayson trying to leave, but Ashley is just like, no, don't leave. You can stay a couple more nights. It's going to be okay. He says he needs a change of clothes, and she's just like, do you really? And I'm just like, girl, this man is cut up. Even if he didn't, y'all couldn't be doing anything, but whatever. So he says, yeah, he got to go. So they kiss, and he says he'll see her soon, and he leaves. Mind you, what you mean you're going to see her soon if you was just telling her that you was going to leave her so that she could be saved? What do you mean you're going to see her soon? But whatever. So, child, whatever. So he leaves. We see Grayson. He's meeting with Jacob at the wall, and they're discussing what's going on. Ren has gone radio silent with him, and Jacob promises him that they're going to get out of this. Grayson wants to know how, and he tells him by you telling me who you work for. He who your contact is, and if they can pull the contact, maybe the rest can fall into place and they can walk away clean. Grayson is just like, nah. He's just like, haven't I proven myself to you? Ren could have killed him, and who's to say he won't go after someone else he loves? um, and so it has Grayson thinking. So we see Naomi and Ashley. They are meeting at the atrium. Ashley tells her, I got to tell you something, but you got to promise you can't tell anybody. So she says she promises. Ashley then tells her what happens and how he was stabbed and he came to the house and all that other good stuff. And she has to figure out what's going on because she can't stand by and do nothing. Naomi says, well, then where will you start? She says at the hospital. She says Grayson is a good guy, but Naomi isn't buying it, and she hopes that Ashley hasn't done anything that'll cost her job. Ashley is just like, she can handle it. Ashley tells her, in this scene, I was just like, Ashley was annoying me because one, she was just like, I can't believe that he would do this to me, da 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 da. And then in the next breath, she's just like, but he's a good guy, and he's this and he's that. And it's just like, girl, you met him in February. What do you mean? You don't know anything about this man. Like, he legit, you should have left him as a one night stand. But for a woman who does not want to be married, or I feel like the way that you were acting with Derek, and granted, you just didn't like Derek. And I understand that because I just don't like Derek. But the way that you were acting, I would have thought that you were allergic to commitment because you didn't want to get married. But now you about to throw it all in and throw it all away for this man. Okay. So she tells Ash Naomi wants to know where she's going to start. Ashley tells her, where she'll start. She mentions Max and how Grayson may know him, and she knows who to ask. She can ask Mitty because Max listed him as his emergency contact, and he visited him, and maybe he knows something. So we go back to Grayson at the wall. And he's saying the person he reports to is very connected, and she pulls strings to get him that job, and he can't just quit because he's the inside man, and he did all of this for the money to help his mom. Jacob says they'll figure it out, and he asks him for a name, and Grayson starts to tell him the name, but he gets a text and it's a picture of Ashley, and he has to go, and he leaves, and Jacob is just like, what happened? And Grayson is panicking, and he leaves. So I think that's where the episode ends, but again, I'll be all over the place. So we see sorry, we see Shawnee's. She stops Nicole, who's walking by, and she wants to get advice from her regarding Leslie and Ted. Shawnee's tells her what happened, and Nicole tells her, Ted and Leslie do have a daughter, and it's permanent, and Leslie will use it every chance she get. That's not what Shawnee's wanted to hear, and Nicole is the truth. People rarely want to hear the truth. Kat walks up and she asks what they're talking about. Shanice tells her, Leslie, and Kat is just like, "Do you really want to talk about that today?" And Shanice forgot and she apologizes, whatever. So Nicole tells her it's fine. They had a conversation. They're good. Shanice walks away. Kat says, "Ask her, are you sure?" Nicole tells her she is. She had a talk with Ted, and they're good. Um, I'm sorry, they're not going to let what happened last year ruin their memories. Kat says, "Okay, well, lunch is on me, and they can talk. They can talk. They can go and talk or whatever." So Nicole wants to go to the club and eat, and Kat is just like, "Are you sure?" And she's just like, "Of course. What are the chances of that night repeating itself?" And of course, the chances are very good. So we see Kat and Nicole. They walk into the club, and Kat is really nervous, and Nicole tells her, it's, oh, relax, like nothing is going to happen. So they start to walk, and then they hear Eva and Leslie, and Kat is just like the unmitigated gall. And Eva says, "We're not here to cause any trouble." Nicole says, "We are all aware of what today is, and we're all aware of what today is." And they oh god, they're all aware of what today is. And then Leslie goes on her talking marathon, and she's talking about, yeah, today is a day of retribution, and for my daughter for getting X, Y, and Z, and da, 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 all this other stuff, just talking a lot of talk like Leslie always does. And Eva is standing there not saying anything. She's just there like she always is. So she's just standing there again, not saying anything. Once Leslie is done talking and she finally takes a breath, um, no, before, like, Leslie tells her, "You should be thanking her for what she did." And Nicole says, it's customary to send a thank you note to someone's house, but she heard construction stopped indefinitely on the house. So she turns to leave. She turns to Kat, and Kat is just like, "Are you sure you're still hungry? Because you ate that and left no crumbs." And I was just like, "Girl, she didn't eat nothing." She let that woman play in her face, and she said one, two things. And yeah, your mama's weak. You were raised by Danny, because clearly you got the reading gene from Danny and Anita. I don't know where your mama got it from, because your mama can't read. She can't read a bitch down. She can't do nothing. She sits there and lets them talk about her to her face, and she smiles and she plays the "I'm gonna be the better woman." I'm gonna need you to start laying hands on people, Nicole. You need to stop letting these people play in your face. Please and thank you. So they turn to walk away, and Leslie tells them to, put whatever they're going to eat on their tab, on her tab. And they say, oh, we're gonna order the most expensive thing or whatever. So they turn and walk away, and Eva rolls her eyes. And Leslie says, well, let's go to OG. Eva's shocked and she thought she wanted to get another round in or whatever. Leslie says she would rather spend the day with her baby girl. So she tells Eva to go get the car. Once Eva's out of the room, Leslie stops a waiter and she tells the waiter if Nicole tries to charge anything to her card, to her account, decline it or whatever. And I was just like, girl, and if she did, that wouldn't hurt her nothing. And with this whole scene, again, I've talked about this already on my TikTok. If you're not following, it's Kemi Tuned In on the TikTok. I'm also on Twitter. Make sure you follow there too. I give my commentary there as well. But with this whole Eva thing, it's annoying because you constantly say you were literally, I think it was in the episode, yesterday's episode, so episode 80, you were talking to Ted and telling him, no, you were talking to Andre and telling him that it was sad and it shouldn't have happened like this. And yet you're gloating with your mama that you destroyed a relationship because you now have, I mean, you destroyed a family because now you have your dad. And then you sit there and you let your mama talk smack to the woman that you love. And then when they turn to leave, you roll your eyes at them. But you're saying, but from what we're watching, we're seeing you rolling your eyes at Nicole and Kat. The actress, Amber Michelle, love you to death. You my girl. You said that was that was only for Kat. I don't know why you would be rolling your eyes at Kat, because Kat didn't say nothing to you. She didn't say nothing to your mama. It was all Nicole. Nicole did all, no, Leslie did all the talking, and then Nicole did the talking. So for you to roll your eyes and say it was geared towards Kat makes no sense, because again, you were telling Andre that you understand where Kat is coming from, especially on a day like today, because you destroyed her family. So why are you now rolling your eyes at her? But hey, I still love you, girl. But I don't believe that was for Cat only. It was for both of them. But hey. So we see a scene of Tomas talking to Bill and giving him an update on Lynette. And that Cat saw a name jump out at her, and it was Dr. Leah, and he's gonna go and talk to her. And Bill is pissed that he involved Cat in this. So that was the episode. It was a good episode. Yeah, it was a straight episode. It was what it was. But and I apologize that I'm always clearing my throat. I talk on the phone all day at work, and then I come here and then talk to y'all. So please forgive me. But make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. Get down in the comments, tell me what you guys thought of this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.